Hi, welcome to the Online Jewelry Academy. I'm Professor John Ahr, and I'm your instructor. In this video, I'm going to show you the finer points of pick soldering. Now, I know I've used pick soldering in a couple other videos, but I wanted to cover the finer details so that you'll have success with this technique every single time. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate using a simple link. I've got my torch out, some flux, a flux brush. I'm holding the loop with a third hand. I have my pick, which I'm going to need for pick soldering, of course. And I've got a charcoal block, and on that block I have 3 little pallions of solder. Now they're hard to see because they're covered with permanent marker to color code them so that I know what they are. And in this case they're green, which means they're easy solder. I also have a quenching container here because I want to cool down the loop and the tool so that I don't burn myself. I've also got a ventilation system here to evacuate any fumes that are given off by the combustion of the flux. And of course, safety glasses. Never can be too careful. All right, the first thing that I want to do is I want to prepare the loop to be soldered. Now, solder won't flow without flux, so I'm going to just flux the seam of the loop just a little bit. All right, there we go. Now, what you want to keep in mind whenever you do pick soldering is, number one, you've got to have a sharp point on the end of your solder pick. You want to take the time to either use a file or a grinder or sandpaper to put a nice sharp point on the end of your pick. That'll make it easier for you to stab into a molten ball of solder. If the pick is dull or if it's covered with old solder and flux, it won't work as well. The other thing that you need to be aware of is you want to melt the solder on a reflective surface. And here I've got a charcoal block. Now, when the torch hits the solder, it will slightly ignite the charcoal block, which will reflect extra heat into the solder, making it melt a little faster. And another cool thing is that the charcoal will reduce the amount of oxidation that the solder picks up. Now, another thing to remember is that if you are going to do multiple pick soldering operations, you need to move the pick to your quenching bowl and quench to cool the pick down between every operation. In other words, the tool needs to be cold, otherwise it's not going to work as well. And lastly, just remember that you want to touch the solder to the seam of your piece when it comes to temperature. Now you can tell this by the color that the metal is emitting because it will glow a little bit as you heat it up. And you'll know exactly when to do this with practice because you'll get used to seeing the color of silver or copper or gold, whatever you're working with. Okay, so let me show you how to do it. All right, we're going to light our torch. I've got my solder pick. So I'm going to heat up that piece of solder. It's a little ball, and then I just stab it. And I've got it on the end of my pick now. Then what I can do is just start to evenly heat this loop right here, just like as if I was making a piece of chain. So I can see where it's coming to temperature. It's got a nice even color, and then I just touch it to that seam and it flows right in, just like magic. Quench my pick, turn off my torch, quench my work and the tool that I held it with, and I've got a nice soldered loop. I hope that this tip helps you work efficiently in your studio. If you like this tip, you'll find many more like it on the onlinejewelryacademy.com or on our YouTube playlist. And remember, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks for watching.